vibing with me and my crew. We just vibing. Is that okay with you? Vibing. Can you feel that it's real? Ooh, ooh. Vibing, yeah, that's all I do. Vibing with me and my crew. We just
Mic check. Mic check. 1 2 1 2.
vibing.
Peace and salutations to them all. So, like, I've been over there trying to, free Carmelo, but looking into the case, researching the case and the details from the trial and different things of that nature. So, finally, an update, quick update, you know, Carmelo appeal is in process. Um, he picked up a dream team of civil rights attorneys. So, like I feel pretty confident about the fact that he's on, like it's going to go into a good direction. A lot of people are saying that, like the naysayers. Let me tell y'all who the naysayers are. MAGA and TP USA, Turning Point USA, Jake Lang and all of them, right? So, they have an internet crew too, MAGA, Doge, all that, right? So just like for the elections, they're running around. And just like for the elections, you couldn't really, anytime Democrats even, raise their blue flags, here comes those MAGA, Doge, TP, USA, Trump supporters, trying to silence people and trying to take away people's rights to express themselves. Um, And, so a lot of people sort of laid off of, me, I laid off of talking politics because I noticed that at first. Well, here it is. We got a case with some, school children, some high school students. And boom, here they are. So I'm just here to let everybody know that MAGA, Doge, TP, USA are everywhere. And, a bunch of people are getting called raccoons. Because basically, like when, you have a deep self-like, a deep hatred or deep, you don't like yourself or your family, or you don't understand the Black struggle, or if you don't understand, like, like what current or past situations and struggles Black people have been through, and you're out here acting like you're different from everybody else and you've been accepted, y'all better turn around and look at the past examples. This has always happened. It's the same game, different day, different decade, same game, same game. So, and basically they're going to lay the raccoons down first. So that's not who they're looking for. When they see that they can't trust you, uh, they're just going to use you then, and then, when you're no longer useful to them, they're going to pitch you to the side. And what makes you useful is us, the Black community, whether or not you have our ears or not. And, I'm proud of the Black community because a lot of the Black community as a whole has been stepping up and basically saying that, see, this case is not about, like, it wasn't a race-based case from us, the Black community, because we're used to this. Like they say, okay, we got a lot of that happening, in terms of Black on Black, as they want to say. uh So we're used to looking at court cases and different things and, looking for the evidence and trying to see who's right and who's wrong. And basically, the majority of people that I spoke to pre-trial, that's pretty much what we were on. It wasn't nobody just like, okay, like the Diddy situation. That's a whole different situation because a lot of people are fans or they worship Diddy. But even myself in that case, let me hear these facts and these details. And if this is a bad man, I don't care how much money you got to go. Bad people got to go. All right. So I noticed that it was almost offensive the way that the media played this whole situation from the beginning. Um, Offensive to black people as a whole. It was like, how can you defend this? And it's like you're on the news, just like in court. You're innocent until proven guilty, and it's the burden of the prosecutors to prove it. And me listening to the details and finding out the details of the court, the trial, um, with transcripts and all, prosecution never proved their case. Like it was like there's, if prosecution proved their case, if you have no denial. We have so many questions, and that proves that prosecution didn't prove their case. But likewise, you got the defense. The defense was not adequate because I'm sitting there. I like to watch court cases, so I'm sitting there like looking for a Brian Steele. Like Brian Steele goes in there. I was looking for I'm like, okay, yeah, they finna turn up. They about to cross examine. This about to be good. And guess what? Nothing. Nothing. And which leaves us with further unanswered questions, which makes it a play on emotions because most of there was no evidence. I don't think that the police properly investigated this case because those phones should have been taken from the door. All of the children involved, teenagers involved, should have been taken to the precinct. They should have waited for their parents. Waited for their parents. And what they're saying is an admission is not because keep in mind Carmela didn't even know that like he didn't know what had happened. Basically it was that coach that put his arms around him. If something happens to him, then it's blah blah blah. So Carmela didn't really know what had happened. All he know is he pushed up out of there. He was under stress. He had four people, two big boys, like surrounding him. So like he had to crab crawl up out of there and run. He wasn't running from the scene. He was running for safety. And, he didn't know, what had actually happened. So, he's like, police is like, well, we have the alleged, suspect. He's not alleged. I am the suspect. I was defending myself. I was defending myself. But like in terms of what actually happened, he never admitted to that. He never like admitted, okay, I actually punctured or I actually did that. And at the same time, I don't think that he knows for sure if he did or didn't because we never saw forensic evidence or anything like that. There was no real evidence. They should have had expert witnesses there and everything. But, enough of that. Because, what surprises me is that, you know, there are more people over here that are, when I come back to the beef sector, there are more people over here in the beef sector defending Lemon behind something that we know he does, behind something that it's proven, behind something that he has admitted out of his mouth. He calls everybody behind the scenes. If you have an Instagram account and you are, especially if you're an original beef sector person, but especially if you're original beef sector, male of the community, he basically has called. I don't know if he's called Treasure Lane or not, because I believe he's fearful of Treasure Lane. He don't know how to, like he still hadn't figured out whether he can, because Lemon likes to dominate. Lemon likes to dominate. And he's gonna do whatever he can to dominate. Like basically, he's trying to dominate the beef sector, but he can't because he can't compete. He doesn't have what it takes. He doesn't have the skill set because he's calling this stuff that he's doing now content. It's not. It's play running. It's play running and lies, play running, lies, gaslighting, and manipulation. And I guess some people like to live in the delusions, but I don't. If I want to live in delusions, if I want to watch some scripts, all I gotta do is turn on the TV, and then you don't even have to have cable. You can turn on local TV for that. Watch Heat of the Night and some of them shows. But basically, the B sector has always been this way. They don't like. They love them. They they love for women to cape for them. You know, uh, and they hate. They don't like when women are empowered. That's why a lot of times they don't like the lesbians, and then a lot of times they come after the women because gay men or men of the community are uh, bigger misogynists than straight men, bigger toxic misogynists than straight men. That's why you got Rico out here with his Superman cape, crying and being mad. But because they pretty much want their cake and they eat it too. And they pretty much think, in their minds, a lot of them come from churches and different things where they think that women should be submissive. So they pretty much want women to lay down and just accept it, be silent, keep your mouth closed. They don't like when women speak out about, mistreatment, injustice, verbal disrespect and different things of that nature. So, uh, and unfortunately, some women, they just accept it, because they were raised the same way. They were raised in church. They were raised, women should be submissive. If that's what you want to do, if that's how you want to live, that's fine with me. But don't expect that's all to do with. The problem is a lot of these women out here expect everybody to jump on the bandwagon. It's like an army of mammies around here. I should have sung the song from the BWE community, Mammy Mountain, because what they're doing is climbing Mammy Mountains when it comes down to Lemon. Because the difference between Lemon and Triple is this: Triple has always been openly open, so there was nothing wrong. I mean, what? Triple was on the phone with him, so what? Um, And no, I don't, I didn't get a sign that Triple was attracted or liked him in any kind of manner. I just got that, he was just trying to get to know and see who Lemon was. That's all. But and then as soon as things that, and Lemon doesn't like rejection because he's a self-admitted narcissist. So as soon as things, as soon as people don't kiss his butt, as soon as people are not loyal only to him, as soon as, people pay attention to their own lives, pay attention to their own channels, pay attention to themselves. There he goes running off. And then, doing something because he also doesn't like to see other people being friends. He likes to divide friends. He said he out of his own mouth, he don't like pairs or couples and different things of that nature. And I don't get how we keep seeing stuff over and over again. A lot of these people are so delusional because I came out. He uses people for content for his benefit alone. He doesn't like the original beef sector. He wants to destroy that because he can't compete with that and he wants to be on the top and be king. But he's not the only one. You got some other people. Because I was a little disappointed in Ness commentary, especially after, like, that Las Vegas fallout and stuff like that. Where, like he talked about, personal things with Ness. And then I'm disappointed too because, like Ness was the first one that came out here and said that he walked and acted and, was a little fruity. She said Shaquem was more man than him. And she was the first one that got mad because, basically Lemon did threaten to expose Shaquem because, if you're sitting there, I got this, and you showing pictures and stuff like that. And then if you know how, like Shaquem knew how diabolical Lemon was, he knew that was hanging over his head. So Shaquem knew that he was going to have to come out, or he was basically, every time he looked down, going to have to bow down and kiss the ring of Lemon. You know what I'm saying? So Shaquem said, I'm just going to come on out. And so I get it. But y'all like making up excuses about that when Lemon himself admitted to being wrong about that. And in the old beast, in the original beast sector, anytime somebody's behind the scenes with different camps behind the scenes all the time, that's a flip flopper and somebody we consider we can't trust. Okay. Uh, but trust. But I get it because most of the people that are the Lemonettes, Lemonette sector, the Mammy sector, whatever, they are either new people. They're either diehard Mammies, or they're new people. And what I mean by that is you got the new beef sector people, then you got the new non-beef sector people. But these are people who actually don't know how the original beef sector actually worked. Like we had real content. It wasn't play running, manipulation. Manipulation, yeah. But I mean, it was real stuff. And then behind that real stuff brought real conversations. It wasn't just all dysfunctional ignorancy. It wasn't all just cursing, getting on a mic, cursing somebody out, trying to degrade somebody or something like a fifth grader or whatever. Reading is when you tell the truth about, somebody's character, somebody's real self, which a lot of these new people, they can't do that. They don't know how to do that. It was intellect. We had intellect involved, where it dealt with social issues, social justice issues, and things like that, like women empowerment. You hear them say women empowerment. That was a whole movement. These gates and stuff, those were a whole movement. They had real conversations. But now the way that things are, it's like jumping on panels. All these new people jumping on panels. They don't know the Kool-Aid and the sauce. They think that they can just run off with it and take the beef sector. But you'll never be able to take the beef sector because what's happening now is not beef sector. It is Lemonette sector. It's Lemonette sector. Nothing beef sector about it. Everybody's a Lemonette. And basically, anytime we can get B sector real content going, it's interrupted by the Lemonettes, by the army of lemons. Because, here it is, lemon and deleted. 2 lives, y'all didn't find that suspicious. And then I went and watched his live. He's over there sounded like he about to cry and all night long. Now you could tell he was disappointed. You could tell he was in his feelings. You could tell he was emotional. Now let that have been me or any woman or any person of the community from the B sector. And these new people would have been all over that because y'all like to try to degrade the original B sector. Y'all have problems with the community, yet y'all want to be a part of this. Because if Lemon was so bad, if any of these people were so bad, they wouldn't need the beef sector to create a sector. Like nobody, if you're bad enough, if you're talented enough, you don't need another group to create a group. You create that from scratch on your own, period. So ain't no bad, ain't no talented, ain't no none of that. It's like basically stealing, manipulating, scamming, gaslighting, and so on. Dirty. Like they say, the older people say about new people. Y'all don't understand the value of things, so y'all take them and then it's destroyed. Like they inherit certain things and then, they start driving, parking on the lawn and, turning it into the hood. And that's how a lot of the prestigious, black communities and stuff end up turning into hoods. Because when it transferred over to generations, the next generation didn't value it like the generation before. And that's what we see happening here. And that's why I like none of this is beef sector. It ain't got no beef sector stamp on it. If these, like any of these people were so bad, then they would have created their own sector on their own anyways. They blocked the beef sector. They're hating on the beef sector. They're beef sector traitors. And that's just it, point blank simple. And I don't dislike anybody, hate anybody, nothing like that. It's just like when I hear people doing commentary on the B sector, my biggest disappointment is back in the day, you used to hear some truths. You used to hear from multiple sides and you used to hear some truths. That's why we like going from place to place, hearing different opinions, different sides, because you learn something. Now we hear the same old wash, rinse, and repeat, defending Lemon. And then it's just at some point it's delusional, it's crazy, it's like Tweety Birds is making people lose brain cells because it's not reality. We're talking about somebody who lives at home with their mama, uh, king of the sector. King of the sector, living at home with their mama, king of the sector, disrespectful to women and disrespectful to the community. Wants to take over a community that's women and the LGBTQIA. Come on now. Come on now. Why is this even allowed to happen? Why are y'all even promoting him? That must mean that y'all don't like him. And I know why a lot of y'all don't like him if y'all are actually beef sector subscribers, because y'all want to be important. And y'all trying to steal it and take it instead of earning it. And that's just point blank, period. Yeah, he's trying to eliminate the original B sector because he really can't compete. That's why he got to go behind the scenes. That's why he got to get close. That's why he got to try to, run mind games and manipulation and different things on these newer people. Like I wouldn't mind if all the newer people, all of y'all did go and become the Lemonette sector so the B sector could get back to doing what they do. Because the B sector should be at a whole different level now. But we can't because of this kind of stuff. Because it wasn't allowed to elevate to the next level. Like most of the other people that you have seen on YouTube, they've elevated. The entire B sector was on it was projected to move up. The B sector should be greater or better than it is right now. But what happened was you got a lot of the newbies, a lot of the people that came in and they pretty much ruined it. They came in, these people from different sectors, it was ruined because like yeah, we nothing, it wasn't perfect. We had some bad stuff going on, but it wasn't far as bad as it is now, or bad as it is in some of these other sectors either. And we were working out our own kinks because we did hold people accountable. People were held accountable. Now unfortunately the accountability would come, this camp holding the other camp accountable versus like the whatever camp you were in, you were holding your leader accountable. And then sometimes there was situations where people held their leaders accountable, but you just don't do that out in public because most of these leaders don't like to be. They don't like it. They don't like when you come in, you have an opposing opinion, or you tell them that they're wrong and different things of that nature in public. But I mean, it's just interesting and just, like seeing how this could have turned into some good content. This could have turned into some discussions about the LGBTQIA community and about DL men and about different things. This could have turned into a situation where Lemon should be, if it, at first I don't care one way or the other. I never have cared one way or the other because I'm not interested in Lemon in that kind of way. Period. So it doesn't matter to me. But here's the thing that people are not talking about is the fact that you're sitting and you're playing in women's faces, you're playing with women's emotions, you're playing games with women, which shows you how he thinks of women. He does not value women. He thinks that women are dumb, easily fooled, and easily manipulated. And it's about, at the end of the day, like the other people who do the same thing say, the coin keeps me here. It's about digging in your pocketbooks and your purses. No, your money shouldn't go to your grandkids. No, your money shouldn't go to like a content creators that's going to actually help build unity or try to build something like greater that we can all like that would elevate us all other than dysfunction and toxicity. Because y'all got to keep in mind, just like we've seen, like with this Carmela Anthony case, the stereotypes are running rapid. And when these different people from these other countries come into the beef sector and these different sectors and stuff, what they see is dysfunction at its finest. And they think this is how we are. They think this is how we all are. They think this is how we live our lives because this is what we're showing them. We are not showing them that we're intelligent. That's why when they run across people that are intelligent, oh, this can't be true. This can't be real. This can't. They're going to challenge. They challenge the intelligent people. They challenge the ones who think for themselves. They challenge the ones who are, trying to do, things that are better for the community and for the world. But other than that, their overall thought is the toxicity that's displayed. And is this what we want to do? Yeah, we can have fun. Yeah, we can it be entertaining, but does it always have to be toxic? And does it always have to result in somebody else being belittled at the expense of somebody else's self-esteem, emotions, lifestyle, something? Does it always have to result in it? But when you have people that are not content creators that can't do anything other than that, this is what you get. And this is why they don't like people who are content creators who can speak from different levels, who can actually put some intellect in it, who can actually really do real commentary about different things. People who are not afraid to have the conversations or the discussions. People who are not allied and they're limited, like Trip said. Like when you're allied with people, the conversation is limited. Then if you do come out and tell the truth, it's like you're about to get cast out of the cults and embarrassed. It's not because nobody really cares sometimes about being cast out of the cult. It's the fact that the humiliation rituals that come with that. And pretty much that's what happens. Nobody talking about how people's heads are swollen. Nobody, I mean, because, basically, even me, I'm not monetized, but yeah, I'm not, I'm just building organically from the mud and from the dirt. But I'm trying to make some money too. I'm not going to be on here for free all the time. I'm just doing it the way that you would do it if you didn't have a group of people, because when people just come on here and start a channel, they don't have groups or whatever. They migrate towards their the tribe or the people that are interested in their type of content. And that's basically what I'm trying to do, because I realize that at the same time you have numbers, you don't always have supporters. You don't always have people who really they like your content if you're talking about the things that they want you to talk about in the way that they want you to talk about it, but they don't like your content. I'm looking for people who really like my content, who really can resonate. Because you're not gonna always agree with something that somebody else says or does, all the time. But I'm looking for somebody who resonates with my content. I want to be a content, I'm a content creator. Media. Like I said, the court case. We watch court cases. We learn law and different things like that. But this particular time, it was just made into some stupid stuff. It just can't, like, it just turned into like, and then anytime you try to, because I have focused specifically on the facts that I learned from the case. I didn't start talking about it again until I got the facts from the case. And basically, when the case was going on, I was comparing, uh, uh, you know, notes to what like had actually happened in the case. Not, oh well, this person is this person is dead, this person is dead. I didn't rush to judgment, and I wasn't trying to convict nobody. And the one thing that I ended up having is not enough evidence, not enough proof, not enough facts. But and then people ask, oh, you're sitting there support. If you don't go sit your emotional self down somewhere, that's. But I'm gonna just bring this to an end. I just want to come on real quick. The next slides that I'm gonna do is going to be some stuff that we need, because there's some important things that we need to talk about it too, like voting. Because if this case didn't teach you nothing else, it taught you the importance of jury duty, the importance of being registered to vote, the importance of voting, and then the importance of who you elect, like putting people in place that best serve your needs, that can understand your situations, that can understand your family situation. Because what goes up sometimes come down. What goes up actually most of the time go down. Laws of gravity, right? Laws of gravity. So Like, even though you might be balling right now, you ain't gonna always ball. And then what about all of the rest of your family? What about all of the rest of your community? And then you move into a different community don't mean that that's your community. I'm talking about your family. I'm talking about uh, you know, like where you grew up. But, you know, some of these people, they just start thinking that they're just like the rest and they're better than, and all of this kind of stuff, not understanding, because I've seen it too many times. I've seen it from people in my family that they went way up there, and that drop was fast, hard, and quick. That's why the best thing to do is just to remain humble. Stop trying, the statement, stop trying to live like the Joneses. Stop trying to be the Joneses, the haves and the have nots. When you hear people talking like that, they got some issues. They're not confident within themselves. They're not just confident with, you know, who they are, DNA wise, genealogy wise, like their background, their family, all of that kind of stuff. They're shedding off a part of them to appear that they're something else, that they're special. But like, God don't make no jump. So everybody is special. But that's all I'm gonna say. Um, as well, I just like to say peace, love, hair grease, and all that good stuff. Y'all make sure y'all smash that like. Help keep me in the algorithm. Share, subscribe, and by all means, I love comments because I'm one that I don't mind opposing, opposing opinions or anything like that. It helps me to see other sides, other perspectives as well. It helps us to grow. And that's why we got to look at, like, it's like, learn to have the conversation, learn to see the other side, learn to understand where other people are coming from. But until next time, like I said, peace, love, hair grease, and all that good stuff. It is unapologetically QI unapologetically, and I am exiting the building. Peace.